Okay, here we're back again, okay, with section number 9 of the short clips that are going to be put on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I want to show you the cover of this book, okay. It's called The Philosopher's Code, and it's got actually 2 titles at the bottom. It's called Sweet Surrender, and there's 3 pictures on it of a chessboard, and I love the chessboard for teaching principles about the chessboard, because lined up all across the front on each side, okay, it doesn't matter what color the players are or whatever, but are the pawns. And the pawns are the ones that are standing in the front lines doing all the guarding of the crew that's at the back, okay? And that's a very, very interesting concept too. But in this book, what I do is I outline something called the engrafted code. And I do a lot of research on a lot of different topics. Somebody will be having a problem or an issue with something, and I'll go right and see how much research that I can do, what I can find out about that topic. But in what I call the engrafted code, okay, that is mentioned and talked about in this book, is of course the DNA, the inheritance that we have within our family tree of all the DNA and all the things that are carried onto us in the DNA. And it's absolutely phenomenal, the things that come up. And proof of that is when you go for a doctor appointment, one of the things that the doctor says right away, he'll say to you, well, what about your family history? Does this sickness or does this illness run in the family? So right away you pick up on the fact that these things are hidden somewhere in the DNA. And you don't know where they're going to crop up, you don't know how it's going to play out in your life, whether it'll appear suddenly at an early age or maybe never at all. And so if you were to look back at the number of parents that are in your history, you'd be absolutely astounded and surprised. And I've done those diagrams, and for example, you've got 2 parents, 4 grandparents, then it multiplies up 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, and before too long, going too far back in history, you're looking at thousands and hundreds of people that you were actually related to, where DNA can come down the line. And the DNA is almost like being on to compare it to something like computers or whatever, being on an iOS operating system where you have no choice, okay, the DNA that's in your body and causing various circumstances to occur in your body over a period of time, whether at birth or after or whatever the case may be, it's there. And so people have to be aware of this type of thing too. And like I said, I do a lot of history studying this type of thing. I have what I call a research academy that I also kind of run, that deals strictly with research. And you've got to be careful with research as well, because a lot of the stuff that's on the internet or whatever, you've got to be very, very careful that it's either maybe outdated or, I don't know, they seem to hold stuff on the internet forever and a day without getting rid of it and updating it. But it's all fascinating to look at and go through. And if people find out that there's something in there, and I mention this in my book, The Philosopher's Code, if you are aware ahead of time, and it could be something like mental illness or whatever lurking in the background with somebody that you aren't aware of or whatever the case may be, and certain things start to happen at a young age, you might need help. And I state this in that book, you might need help. And the sooner you look for resources to help you out to negotiate through this, then the better for you. And so, yeah, that's one of the kind of curveballs that life seems to throw at us, and we just have to be prepared for what might come or what might not come whenever it occurs. So that brings an end to portion number 9.